passengers. Our passengers buy their tickets in advance and they have large cargo or luggage with them. Relocating our terminals is a difficult and onerous endeavor for both operator and most especially our passengers. This is because our sites are strategically located and designed to handle the particular needs and convenience of our clientele. In regard to the traffic along EDSA, let us study the latest data posted in the website data.gov.ph. Based on the website, the total annual number of registered motor vehicles in 2013 is 7,690,038 vehicles. And classified according to use, buses for hire comprise a paltry 0.31% of the pie, or 23,743 units. Despite this minuscule percentage, it is undisputed that buses provide the greatest seating capacity, yet are the least in traffic footprint. It is therefore logical to deduce, and the PBWAP is convinced, that removing 0.031% of the buses for hire will not improve traffic. Upon the other hand, outlawing provincial buses in EDSA will adversely affect millions of our less privileged citizens daily. In our earnest desire to contribute to the first 100 days of President Duterte, the PBWAP wrote a letter to the DOTC and to the LTFRB last July 29. The letter contained our recommendations to help ease the traffic situation in EDSA. For lack of updated statistics, the LTFRB came up with a rough estimate in 2007 that there are 2,000 Colorum buses flying EDSA. For this reason, the PBWAP has recommended and called for an intensive and sustained drive against Colorum operations that flood EDSA of illegal traffic. The PBWAP has also called for the cancellation of franchises of PUVs with out-of-line violations. Buses that have franchises not touching Metro Manila must not be seen in Metro Manila. The PBWAP has recommended the strict implementation of the closed door and of the nose-in and nose-out policies for provincial buses. With due respect, these recommendations should first be satisfactorily implemented before more radical changes take place. In ending, the PBWAP supports the government's earnest desire to alleviate the citizenry's traffic woes. However, the association fervently prays that the measures to be adopted be in line with the Supreme Court's decisions in the Lucena Grand Central Terminal case and the MMDA case. In ruling against the closure of bus terminals to ease traffic congestion, the Supreme Court clearly stated, whether an ordinance or measure is effective is an issue different from whether it is reasonably necessary. It is its reasonableness, not its effectiveness, which bears upon its constitutionality. If the constitutionality of a law were measured by its effectiveness, then even tyrannical laws may be justified whenever they happen to be effective. That ends my presentation, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Attorney Rondaris. We will take note of that. I think it was discussed about the Supreme Court decision, but I know that your group is cooperative. Also, if we have to do certain compromises in order to benefit the riding public, that you are going to be in tune with our plans. And the next presenter will be from the Southern Luzon Bus Operators Association, Mr. Giovanni Sumunda.
Your Honor, may I present Mr. Michael Salalima, our Executive Director, to present our position proposed solution regarding the traffic crisis?
May we remind you that you have not more than 5 minutes for your presentation, and we will remind you when you have a minute left.
Good morning, Madam Chairperson.
Good morning, sir.
And to our honorable senators. On the part of Soluboa, we respectfully present our association's position on the current traffic and transport crisis in relation to the Senate Committee on Public Services public hearing on emergency powers. The Southern Luzon Bus Operators Association, or Soluboa, is comprised of both provincial and city bus operations entering through the south of Metro Manila. We are the second largest bus operators association in the Philippines with a total combined fleet of around 6,000 units. Soluboa has always been a partner and supportive of any government initiatives aimed to primarily provide the commuting public with the most efficient, convenient, modern, and safe public utility bus transportation, as we have maintained over the years that next to rail or our LRTs and MRTs, public utility buses are major contributors in our country's mass transport sector. It is with humble intention that we are taking part in the public discussion of our traffic and transport crisis following your esteemed committee's invitation. Soluboa now wishes to recommend the following transportation actions for the committee's appreciation and reference. Number 1, there should be a focused effort on promoting high occupancy vehicles, or the HOV, especially along EDSA. Aside from the MRT line that traverses EDSA, there should be a conscious and focused effort to prioritize HOV vehicles like public utility buses. In the September 2015 article by Rigman, NEDA data showed that traffic demand in Metro Manila is at 12.8 million trips already, and 69% of these are done by public transport that only uses 22% of the Metro Manila road network as compared to 78% of the private vehicles. Number 2, strict implementation and real-time management of EDSA's yellow lane. In the MMDA's Memorandum Circular Number 8, Series of 2012, it provides for the creation of a yellow lane in EDSA intended for PUVs. Private vehicles are barred from entering the said lane except when entering a secondary road or street. Let this be strictly implemented and real-time managed, as its success is very much dependent on it. The yellow lane has 2 lanes, the curbside, which is dedicated for loading and unloading, while the outer or second lane should always be moving, as this should serve as the passing lane. The third one, private vehicles using EDSA should have at least 3 passengers at any given time on top of the number coding scheme. In an ABS-CBN news article on September 2015, there are about 225,000 to 260,000 private vehicles already traversing EDSA, which only has a capacity of about 160,000 vehicles at any given time. Public utility buses account for only 5.3% to 6% of the total vehicles in EDSA. Number 4, there should be intensified and 24/7 anti-colorum drive. Our anti-colorum drive operations usually run for a few hours only and mostly in the mornings, which can easily be predicted and anticipated by colorum vehicles. A more intensified campaign must be done and focuses not only on road networks but also in other places where there is a large concentration of vehicles. Number 5, the lifting of number coding for public utility buses in Metro Manila. As one transport expert has claimed, only in the Philippines where you will find public transport vehicles being part of the traffic reduction program. PUV, an HOV and minimal user of EDSA per data should be exempted from number coding. These are just a few of our broad and experienced understanding of the Metro Manila traffic and transport crisis, as we are there and we suffer the same every single day together with the commuting public. Some out-of-the-box suggestions can be the following. To it, number 1, survey on private car owners. Number 2, provinces immediately surrounding metro should be classified as city or commuter routes. And as an alternative, bus transport terminals from the south can be created. Soluboa firmly believes that one of the true tests of a country's vibrant or growing economy is not on the number of its private vehicles on the road, rather how efficient its public mass transportation. We will always be one with the administration's transport initiatives, and it is Soluboa's fervent hope to be a member of this administration's transport technical working groups. Thank you very much for this opportunity, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Sumundak. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the chairman, our Senate pro tempore and also chairman of the Committee on Constitutional Amendments and Revision of Codes, Senator Franklin Drilon. Our next presenter would be from the Cavite Bus Operators Association, Mr. Romulo Santiaguel.
Madam Chairperson, I'm Alex Siage. I will be speaking in behalf of Cavite Bus Operators. Mr. Santiago requested me to give their side on the issue, Madam Chairperson.
Go ahead, sir.
The Cavite Bus Operators Association are composed of the operators operating in the whole province of Cavite and Western Batangas, Your Honor. And we're composed of 1,000 buses. And most of these buses terminate their destination in Manila, in Santa Cruz, Loton, in Ayala, and in Cubao. In July 2015, the interim integrated Southwest Terminal was opened by the MMDA, and LTFRB actually reduced the franchise route from the towns in Cavite and Batangas only up to the Southwest Terminal. So, Your Honor, the buses that you saw when you last visited the Southwest Terminal, if they go outside of the Southwest Terminal, they're already violating their franchises. So, while the Southwest Terminal is free for the moment, when it first opened in July 2015, the walkway to the other side was not yet there. So it was only after the terminal was opened that the walkway was finally constructed. And as you can see during your visit, as you saw during your visit, it is not intermodal. So the passengers from the provinces, they terminate their trip in the Southwest Terminal. There are no Metro Manila units that can take them to Loton or to Santa Cruz or to Ayala or to Cubao. So they are forced to walk about a kilometer without any roof to be able to transfer to the Metro Manila operators. Dasmariñas, Cavite to Manila is only 30 kilometers, Your Honor. If you reduce the route to Southwest Terminal, the route will only be 20 kilometers. So you can imagine if you look at the traffic in the morning, most of the passengers go to Manila. But when they reach Manila early in the morning, there are no passengers going back to the province. So most of the buses go back to Cavite and to Batangas without any passengers on the southbound trip, because they have to go back to the towns in Cavite in order to ferry the other passengers going back to Manila. When these buses were not allowed to enter Manila, Your Honor, almost 500 buses were not able to daily stop operations, Your Honor. And what happened was that colorum vans became the alternative mode of transport. So I guess this is a prime example of what happens if you there are no integrated intermodal terminals that will serve the passengers from the provinces, Your Honor.
Mr. Yage, let me just clarify so that we can understand this better. Ang sinasabi po ninyo, yung mga bus na magkokonekta from the terminal na papasok dito sa EDSA, hindi na sila bumabalik na may pasahero, kaya parang lugi na sila sa second pick-up. Ganon yung sinasabi ninyo.
Yes, ma'am. Kasi po, ang pasahero po nang galing ng probinsya, pagdating sa Manila, karamihan po niyan papasok na Manila sa umaga eh. So yung pabalik ko ng probinsya, walang laman. Pero kailangan ho nilang bumalik kasi marami pong naiwan na pasahero sa probinsya sa umaga.
Tama.
So babalik ko sila doon, walang laman, para makakuha ulit ng pasahero. Ang next na biyahe po nila, bandang hapon na po, pag-uwian naman po.
So dapat talaga may dispatching. The chair recognizes Senator Gilon.
Ano po ang solusyon doon? Ano ang solusyon sa problemang pinipresenta mo sa amin? In your mind, anong solusyon?
Actually po, sa Metro Manila po, ang ginawa po ng MMDA po doon, nagkaroon po sila ng dispatch na areas sa mga main terminals po. Una-una na po sa Southwest Terminal dapat meron na pong dispatch po doon. Ang tawag po nila doon ay Organized Bus Route System. Meron na po sa Fairview, meron na po sa Navotas. Kaya lang po, nung na-implement po yon, sa umpisa maganda. Pero after siguro several months po, ay hindi na po sinusunod yung dapat gawin. So
it's a question of enforcement.
Opo. Parang ganun din po ang kasi pagka provincial terminal po, meron kami terminal sa loob ng Manila. Pagkagaling ho ng probinsya, hindi naman po kagad babalik ho yung bus eh. Kasi ang susunod na pasahero po niya na kailangan ibalik ang mga pasahero, bandang hapon na po. So, pagdating ho sa terminal, kung hindi babalik yung bus, nandun lang ho siya sa terminal. Doon po nililinis, nilalagyan po ng gasolina. Yung driver po niya natutulog din. Nagpapahinga po yung driver.
Because sa pagpresenta niyo po, mukhang may problemang malaki. Hindi po ba? Kaya po tinatanong ko, kung yun ang problema ang nakikita nyo, ano naman ang solusyon? Sinasabi nyo kanina, mayroong scheduled dispatching and it was effective for a while, tapos nawala. Ganun mo ba?
Tama po yan.
So, the solution is to enforce again strictly that dispatching schedule that was started. Hindi yung ibalik natin yung 500 bus sa Maynila.
Hindi po. Ang sinasabi po natin, yung Southwest Terminal po, dapat intermodal. Opo. So pagdating po ng provincial bus po doon, meron dapat sasalo. Either na MRT, LRT, o city bus operation na magdadala po ng pasahero, dadalhin po doon sa loob ng Manila. Nung ginawa po natin yung Southwest Terminal, wala pong ganun. So, ano po ang gagawin ng tao? Maghahanap po yun ng sasakyan na didiretso doon sa Manila. So, ano po ang alternative to po nun? Colorum po ang sasakyan niya.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Yage. Who wanted to add to the presentation? Did you have a question, sir? I'm sorry, I don't know which nameplate belongs to you. Mr. Sumundak.
Yes, ma'am. Doon po sa sitwasyon kanina, ang nakikita po naming possible solution will be magkaroon po ng... kasi po ang problema natin, pag sinabing galing probinsya from Cavite, kinoconsider as provincial bus. Pero kung makikita po natin, ang Dasmariñas to Manila is 30 to 35 kilometers away lang. So kung puputulin po yun, lalo pong iikse. So ang nakikita po namin, isa sa aming proposed solution, yung pong sinabit namin sa inyo, is magkaroon ng halimbawa po 100 kilometer radius. Pagka po kasi yung 30 kilometers, 35 kilometers away, commuter route po eh.
Alam mo kung gaano kahaba 100 kilometers? Halos kalahati na yun ang papuntang Baguio. So nasama mo na talaga hanggang saan yun?
Kasi po yung halimbawa, for example, in Laguna.
Di parang nawala na rin yung ating nai-impose na dapat walang provincial buses kasi overloaded na. Pero I think 100 kilometers is a little bit excessive. Well, ano nga yung mga probinsya na yan? Laguna kasama.
Yes, ma'am.
Di ba bawasan namin yung kasi direction na. So, mapabawasan yung ibang mga buses.
Hindi ko pong sabihin, halimbawa, ang Laguna, in Calamba is only 53 kilometers. Meron pong San Pedro Laguna, malapit po yun. That's 30 kilometers away. Kung magkakaroon po ng terminal at puputulin po natin sila, magiging jeepney route po, masyado na maikse. Ang mga pasahero po dito, nagko-commute every day. Ang aming proposal is, pagka po talaga malayo, for example, Bicol or more, yung mga malalayo, Visayas, yun na po ang mag-terminate in the ITS.
Papayagan natin yung solusyon mo na 100 kilometer radius. Ilan ang madadagdag uli sa EDSA ng mga bus?
Yes.
Siguro po ma'am, pag inalaw ho natin na 100 kilometers, yun din po, provincial bus din po. Ganun din po ang number. Kasi po, ang definition po ng provincial bus po ngayon ma'am, ang San Pedro po, papuntang Loton, papuntang Manila, provincial bus na po yan.
Hindi nga po, alam ko, magpapalit lang ng pangalan, tapos mako-consider sila na hindi na provincial buses, so parang hindi na dagdagan ng provincial buses. Pero ilan ang madadagdag na bus pag pinayagan natin itong inyong suwestyon?
Siguro mama, bigyan niyo po kami ng time para i-divide po namin yun. Kasi nabanggit po ni Mr. Sumunta ko kanina, dalawa pong kasi klase yung provincial bus po. Isang commuter operation na provincial bus, at saka meron po yung malalayong probinsya po. Ito yung mga Roro, galing po ng Mindanao, galing ng Visayas.
Right, sir, but they're all classified as provincial buses. So if we allow your suggestion, what we're saying is, then we will allow more buses coming through EDSA compared to what we are allowing now, because we're just renaming or reclassifying the buses, right? Never mind. We'll give you time to explain. Parang kailangan natin yata ng model dito para makita talaga kung gaano kadami mga buses. But before we go to the next presentation, and I think this is very important, and I asked your group to please present this. When I met with the provincial buses group, Mr. Vincent, Attorney Vincent, we were discussing that Senator Delon, they were discussing with me their proposal, and also I would like to alert also the DOT. In our desire to be able to solve the traffic problem and then to build all the infrastructure that we need, their suggestion is, because they know what they need the time in motion, that they will take charge of building the terminal that they need, in at least the southwest terminal. This is something that they proposed instead of, and then with the cooperation of the government, the government can inspect their plans, but at no cost to us. Yung mga mismong mga provincial buses ang association na magpapagawa nitong mga terminal na to, at sila rin ang magme-maintain. Now, maybe what we need to look into is what are they going to charge for the maintenance of those terminals. But I think it is to their best interest that the terminals work properly, because if it doesn't work, then they won't be able to maximize their potential their earnings for that terminal. Would you be able to discuss a little bit further?
Actually,
we won't bind you to this. This is just an idea. So don't worry. But they were talking about this.
yes, well, if worst comes to worst, that would be the solution. We go out of the metropolis, and I remember the reason why I cited the MMDA case was because it was our case. We filed it because the MMDA back then wanted to relocate the provincial terminals in 2007 at the time of Chairman Bayani Fernando and move us
yan
to...
siguro ang tamang dapat gawin kasi isa sa mga nagpapatraffic dyan sa EDSA, yung mga buses terminal, yan talaga ang problema. Dapat alisin na yan dyan, ilipat na ibang lugar na hindi pa masyadong dinadaanan o crowded area pagdating sa mga vehicle natin.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Senator Pacquiao. Okay, let's not talk about the cases first now, sir. The one in Uniwide, MMDA, yan ba inirerentahan lang ninyo? O sa atin na yon? O sa gobyerno na yon?
Madam Chair, it's being rented. Right now, we're renting it.
So, for how long?
Ang alam ko po ay kasi nagsimula yan in 2013 and then pampasensya na ako kaya I just started 2 days ago so I will just have to defer to...
Bakit ikaw ang pinadala nila? Kawawa ka naman. Wala pa dito yung chairman ninyo?
Okay lang ako.
Ma'am, would you like to... No. Go ahead.
Ma'am, we have a contract now and this is an interim terminal.
So for how long is the contract, sir?
Maybe the assistant of Mr. Orbos seems to be more knowledgeable, just to say.
Pasensya na ako, ma'am. Yes.
Kung pwede, ma'am, siya na lang.
Ma'am,
Yan po.
may I ask for your name, please?
Rochelle Onam, Madam Chair. Ma'am, we had a contract with the lot owner in 2013 for a 2 years contract because initially the original plan is 2 taon lang po sana kasi interim lang naman po in preparation for the
acquisition of the permanent...
in preparation for the permanent terminal.
Okay. Can I have your designation again, ma'am?
I'm the Chief Legal Counsel po ng MMDA.
So right now, your contract is for 2 years. Have you renewed it for another 2 years? Or
Yes, Madam Chair. We renewed it and it ended last June 30. However, there was a collateral in the contract that on a month-to-month basis po until...
how much are you renting it for every month?
1.2, Madam Chair.
1.2 million for that. Did you already purchase a particular area to replace that temporary facility that you have?
Wala.
Is there a plan to purchase one, or is there one in the pipeline right now? Have you identified a location? Meron na ba kayo natuntun na lugar na pwedeng paglipatan?
If I'm not mistaken, Madam Chair, meron naman po kasing permanent terminal na ginagawa po yung DOTC.
Ma'am,
Permanent terminal po for the Southwest.
Meron na po ba sa Southwest?
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning,
po sa lahat. Meron pong 3 plano na intermodal terminal dito sa Metro Manila. One in the south, dito po sa may Taguig, yung FTI area. One in the southwest, which is it's in the Uniwide area. The one near the coastal and the location of the Uniwide now. And then there's another one planned in the north, which is
my question is, in the southwest muna po.
Meron po.
Because we already discussed the south, in Taguig, southwest, and north. We know that we're supposed to have terminals there. My question is, in the southwest area, have you already identified a particular property that will be the permanent intermodal transport terminal?
Meron na po. Yun nga pong coastal, yun nga pong Uniwide area. Malapit po doon.
Malapit sa Uniwide?
Yun po.
Pero meron bang struktura ngayon doon o bakanting lupa?
Wala pa po. Yung pong construction will start this 2016, later part of 2016, ngayon na po. And we expect to finish in 2018. Pwede pong mag-start na yung operation by 2018.
Opo, kasi actually when I spoke to Attorney Vincent, yung kanilang timeline, they can finish in about a year and a half with the right specs, kung gaano kapalang semento. Now, I'm not pushing that they be granted that the rights to construct there, but I think you should be able to. Have you met with them to discuss what they need to have an effective bus drop-off point and pickup?
Nakamiting na po namin sila, pero not on that specific issue. Ito po kasi ay PPP project. Ang concessionaire po is the MWM Terminals, a partnership of Megawide Construction Corporation and Watermark Property Management.
So, PPP po ito, may premium na naman dito?
Ito po yung na-approve po ito ng NEDA
Magkano po ang budget dito? Magkano yung winning bid dito sa PPP project na to?
Yung pong nakalagay na data dito is the contract cost is 3.15 billion.
Okay. When this was being discussed about the intermodal transport capability, will you have a connection, any train or ano ba, LRT ba yung kukonekta doon? Mr. Quintanar?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Ang plano po talaga ay ang LRT-1 magkakaroon ng stasyon sa tabi ng ITS. So ito po yung bahagi ng Cavite Extension Project. At kasalukuyan pong sinisecure na po yung right-of-way para matuloy na po yung construction ito.
Yusef, meron ba kayong problema sa right-of-way acquisition?
Hindi naman po. Ang tansya po namin are about 98% complete. Konti na lang po, we're hoping sa loob po ng taong ito matatapos. Madi-deliver na po namin yung right-of-way package 1, which is kalahati na po ng Cavite Extension. So
sir, yung LRT extension, gaano po katagal ang construction yan pagka nakuha na niyo yung right-of-way?
Ang pagkaalam ko, pag nabigay na po yung notice to proceed, within 36 months, kaya na po i-deliver yung stasyon.
Na pwede nang gumana yung stasyon na yon?
Opo.
Paano nyo kailangan ng emergency powers dito? Saan ninyo nakikita na magkakaroon ng balakid na kailangan ninyo ng emergency powers?
Well, sa bahagi pong ng LRT1, tingin ko po hindi masyadong kailangan pa sa ngayon ang emergency power. Kailangan lang po namin bilisan yung implementasyon nitong proyektong ito. Doon po yung emergency powers doon sa mga ibang linya po na.
So hindi na ninyo kailangan magkaroon ng bidding, meron nang nanalo dito? Ano?
Meron na po.
Sino po yung nanalo dito?
Ang nanalo po nito yung consortium na Light Rail Manila Corporation.
Sino may-ari po? Ano pong korporasyon?
Joint venture po ito na Metro Pacific at Ayala.
Okay. Sige po, ituloy-tuloy natin, pero I'd like to request a copy from Yusef Lontok kung ayaw ninyo munang ipakita, kung masyadong maselan, ayaw ninyong i-identify muna yung lugar. Basta kung paano yung proposal ng Megawide ba yung gagawa? Megawide, di ba?
Yes, ma'am.
Megawide. Ano ba yung kanilang plano?
We will provide you the map. Yung po ay katabing-katabi ng Uniwide.
Nakita ko, meron doon empty na lupa.
Yes po.
So yun.
Yun po.
Okay, pero kailangan ko yung mismong, di ba, pag nanalo ng PPP, may proposal yan eh. Pinapakita nung magiging itsura ng terminal. Nakita na ba ninyo yan, Attorney Vincent? Yung PPP na proposal?
Hindi pa po.
Yun na nga eh, di ba? Nag-grant tayo ng PPP para doon. Hindi naman natin kinonsulta yung mga stakeholders, yung mga buses, yung mga bus owners, operators. Yun bang ating, nandito pa si Elvira Medina? At Tita LV, ma'am, kayo ba yung nakonsulta ng DOT tungkol dun sa magiging itsura nitong common terminal? Kayo po kasi yung sa commuters protection, welfare.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I'm sorry I was late, but Hindi po kami natanong. As a matter of fact, tinatanong ko po yan doon sa dating bidding committee na headed by certain Yusek Gonzales dahil supposed to be po kasama ako doon sa budget partnership ng DOTC where I could be part of the deliberation, even of the assisted projects. However, they never gave me schedules of meetings or anything.
Yusek Quintanar, you're just new here, right? You weren't there in the last...
Opo. This administration. Opo.
So this administration. Nakakalungkot naman isipin, hindi pala kayo kinonsulta dito. Yusek Lontok, pwede pa ba na masama sila para naman, I mean, I'm sure you are already given what the provisions are, the contract is, but you can make certain accommodations to make it more systematic also for these bus operators and for our passengers. Because who gave the technical advice? I would like to know what the qualifications are of the people that advised you to accept the proposal of, I know Megawide is a very reputable firm. They can deliver on the structure, but I don't think they've actually built a bus terminal before, have they?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, as regards your suggestion, recommendation that we meet with them, yes, we are open to meeting with them because in the implementation, surely we have to know what their needs are. The project was approved in 2013, so now we are already in near the construction stage, and in the implementation, it is really our plan, and it is in our action plan to meet with those stakeholders that will be affected by all the projects.
So I would like to be given a follow-up on this, the schedule of your meetings, ma'am.
Yes,
so that
madam.
we will not be blamed for not including them if in case this particular project fails. Let's continue now with the next. Senator Drilon is recognized.
Just a few questions for clarification. So just for clarity, we will have 3 provincial bus terminals. The one in the south in the area of the FTI, the second one in the southwest in the area of Uniwide, and the third in the north. Have you identified it or is it still confidential?
Ang pinag-aaralan po ngayon under feasibility study, I understand, is the one of veterans hospital area.
Okay.
Opo.
Would you have now an idea of when that would be completed, the one on the north, from today, given the fact that you are just doing your feasibility study? Just a ballpark period.
What I have here, if the timeline or if the time frame is continuous, there will be, if the project is feasible and we will not encounter any problem, then maybe in 2019 or 2020 we can open, we can start the operation.
3 to 4 years. Just
mukha pong ganon. Okay.
Yeah, all right. Now, how many provincial buses are plying EDSA daily? Because I assume these are the provincial buses which would no longer ply EDSA once you have completed these 3 provincial bus terminal with intermodal facilities. So how many buses, provincial buses, are plying EDSA? Or do we have to disaggregate between the one with franchise and the one colorum or whatever? Ganun ba yun?
Exactly kung yun pong sa EDSA, perhaps wala po ako dito nung hiwa-hiwalay na figures for provincial and city. Pero yung pong count, but may I refer you to the data of MMDA kasi sila po yung nag-traffic count.
Okay, yeah.
Sir, number of provincial buses entering Metro Manila is 8,640.
Slowly, please.
Sorry, sir.
Yes.
Number of provincial buses entering Metro Manila is 8,640 po.
6,006.
8,000 po.
8,000.
640.
640 provincial buses
Entering Metro Manila po.
every day.
Yes, sir. Entering Metro Manila po.
Yeah, okay.
Ang city...
Dali lang ha. Dali lang.
Let me interject.
Yeah.
I would just like to ask, is this allowed? Akala ko pa wala na dapat provincial buses.
Meron po.
So you allow certain provincial buses, is that true? Or are they violating the rules?
Ma'am, wala pa po kasi tayong currently South Terminal and North Terminal.
That's right. So from that
Yes,
side, okay.
So just to repeat, 8,640 provincial buses would use EDSA on a daily basis.
Mr. Chair, it's in Metro Manila po.
In
Entering
Metro Manila.
Yes po.
Okay. Would you have a disaggregation of how many goes to EDSA? In any case, sige. So, 8,640 provincial buses would enter Metro Manila every day. Use the microphone.
Yes, Mr. Chair, and more or less 3,500 of which uses EDSA.
3,500 uses EDSA.
Yes po. More or less po.
More or less. So, when you are able to complete the 3 provincial bus terminals in the south, in the southwest, and in the north, theoretically, the Metro Manila roads will be relieved of 8,640 provincial buses daily. Is that a correct understanding? Please, on the record.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is a huge relief if we are able to complete the provincial bus terminals. This is a huge relief to us, 8,640 provincial buses. Now, so, okay, I go back to my question. When can we complete these 3 provincial bus terminals that we have designated? Obviously, this is a key to the relief that we're looking for as a USEC Lonto.
Madam Chair, we expect to finish the construction and start the operation in 2018, later part of 2018.
For the 3?
For the 2. Medyo po mahuhuli yung north kasi po under feasibility study pa po yun sa ngayon.
So 2018 for the south and the southwest.
Opo.
Now, I joined the question of our chair earlier. Is there anything that you would want to include in the proposed Emergency Powers Act in order to make sure that we meet our deadlines? In other words, are there hindrances that you see in the present setup which we can remedy through legislation so that the timetable that we have, which is 2018, and to relieve at least partially the Metro Manila roads of 8,640 buses can be achieved?
Sa ngayon po, in terms of ROW, mukhang maayos na po. Ang baka lang po magkaroon maybe during the construction or maybe there are stakeholders, pero makikipag-usap na lang po kami sa kanila, dialogue. But in terms of implementation, maybe we need to dialogue with them on the best way. Kasi tama po yung sinasabi kanila, it should be intermodal. So not only rails, but also even smaller capacity vehicles para po dun sa mga feeder roads. Kailangan din po i-provide. So there should be a rerouting of public transport, and maybe it would help us if we can be if we can have in the emergency power that we can reroute, although it is already it is already within the powers of LTFRB, but so that we can have faster implementation.
Yeah.
But of course, we will be in constant dialogue with all the sectors.
You know, this is our opportunity because of the emergency nature of our situation on the traffic, to be able to put in at least for the next 2 years, powers which ordinarily would not be available to you if these were not an emergency. For example, you keep on saying, wala kaming problema sa ROWs, but we know very well that so many of these projects are delayed because of right-of-way problems, valuation, etc. So even if you have no problems, I would play it safe by putting provisions which would prevent issuance of DROs on ROWs. And I do not know about valuation problems being a hindrance to your being able to implement the plans vis-a-vis the right-of-way issues. So we would recommend, I would recommend to our chair that in fact we will try to draw from you what are the expected problems that you have, so that we are able to meet our targets of 2018. Remove by law all the policy hindrances insofar as implementation, insofar as actual implementation. Kayo po yan. But what we're saying is we would want to help by looking at policy hindrances which we can remedy by virtue of legislation. That I would like to think is how we should approach this problem, because we cannot solve everything here. What we're trying to do is to see which are the policy hindrances that we can address.
Thank you, sir. Yusek Quintana, did you want to add something to what Senator Drilon said?
Just a very short note to Senator Drilon's comment. I think in the last hearing, we did mention that a part of the emergency powers we'll be needing is the power to really acquire right-of-way strategically. I guess my comment on line one was just the short term. This particular problem is short term, but we do agree with the senator's recommendation that we be given clearer powers in the immediate, during the emergency powers, to procure right-of-way for strategic lines.
Okay. So aside from this, I just wanted, for the record, let me request from the DOT the projects that you need to accomplish to solve the traffic crisis immediately. So we're looking at the next 3 years. What are those projects? Please identify. Number 2, the timeline that you're looking at, the possible cost of each of those projects, how you intend to roll out those projects. Is it through PPP? Are you going to do direct source procurement or whatever else you need to do? And then on the other, and then also your wish list of the emergency powers that you might need per project, anticipating what the problems will be. I need that, and I need it by next week, before our next hearing with the local government group. Now, if you cannot submit it by then, maybe you can request for more time. What do you have now? Because we're not saying that this will be the final and definite list, but you should have already an idea of what else you need to do. Senator De Lima wanted to add also, but our questions, the real questions, will come after the other presentations that we will have, unless you just want to make a clarification. Senator De Lima.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is just really a follow-up to one factual point raised in the course of the questioning of Senator Drilon. Gusto ko lang ho maintindihan the real impact dyan sa pagtayo nga po ng 3 bus terminals na yan, na sabi nyo, it would really relieve very greatly the traffic situation. Dahil ibig sabihin, 8,640 provincial buses ay hindi na talaga makakapasok within Metro Manila, or most of the streets of Metro Manila, and 3,500 of which hindi na din makakapasok sa EDSA. So if we try to imagine it, that is such a huge relief for the problem. But, ito pong tanong ko medyo commonsensical. Siyempre ho, yung mga buses na yan, pag dun lang sila makakarating sa mga 3 terminals na yan,
bababa ang mga pasahero. So, ano pa yung real effect niyan? Yung bababa ang mga pasahero, kasi syempre mga pasahero hindi naman po lalakad yan pauwi sa kanila o papunta sa kanilang destinasyon, wherever it is. So how do we imagine this to be? Yes, there is such a relief, but how great is the relief given that factual scenario? Sabi ko nga, common sense lang. So anong epekto po nun? Mawawala yung mga buses na yan. So ano ang magiging replacement na sasakyan din ng mga pasahero? That's just a factual point.
I think maybe you can include that in your presentation to answer that later on. You still have a presentation, no? Can you answer it quickly now before we go?
Madam Chair, tama po yun. Mawawala po yung 3,500 along EDSA and 8,000 plus sa buong Metro Manila. Kaya nga po yung ating ginagawang terminal ay intermodal. So ibig sabihin, pagbaba ng mga tao, ng mga pasahero galing probinsya, meron pong ibang sasakyan, bus na city lang po ang takbo niya. Pwede pong, meron din pong LRT at rail, meron din pong smaller vehicle. Yung po kasing epekto noong mga terminals natin, now I think it's 41 or 51 along EDSA only. Base po doon sa survey na ginawa ng aming planning group, mapapansin niyo po na dahil halos every 2 minutes may lumalabas, may pumapasok. Talaga pong nakaka-stall ng traffic. Kaya po yun ang parang...
Opo, naiintindihan ho natin yan. Kapag talaga bawalan na natin yung 8,640 na 3,005 nga sa EDSA, malaking bagay. I can imagine that, just trying to visualize it. Malaking bagay. Pero yun na nga po, ibig sabihin, meron lang ibang mga units of transportation na magre-replace sa mga buses. Dadagdagan ba yung mga taxi? Dadagdagan ba yung mga jeepney? And other. So, ano yung pinaka-effect? So it's not as huge because when we start saying mawawala yung 8,640 buses, sobrang grabe ang effect nun. Baka nga araw-araw wala na talaga tayong traffic. But is that really the real situation? What is the real impact if we implement yung plano na yan? Mukhang hindi ho ganun malaki pa rin ang epekto, pero hindi ganun kalaki kasi kailangan na natin ng more taxi siguro, o more jeep, o kung ano pa man, more LRT, MRT, etc. just to transport these passengers coming from the provinces to their respective destinations within Metro Manila. So can we think about it? You may not be able to answer that right now. I'm just putting that question on the floor. Thank you.
Okay, I'll give you 1 minute, Ms. LV.
Madam Chair, I would like to just augment what Senator De Lima had said. We made a study, our organization made a study, and our observation in the former Southwest Interim Terminal that was built by MMDA in the Uniwide area. We also got the profile of the people who take the provincial buses, and we made a study of the entire people who come and go, and it showed to us that there are people who work in Metro Manila but go home in the provinces at night. This is the result of the medium and low cost housing produced by the government to unclog Metro Manila. So na dumami yung mobility. Then also we found out there was really a very strong opposition from the very small farmers. Because they carry with them, kung minsan isang sako, 2 sako ng kamote, ng papaya, this cannot be accommodated in the metro buses. They cannot use the metro buses for this. So what do we do for them too? Remember, these are the micro entrepreneurs. Many of the people who travel also carry bags. So these are results. I have submitted also a video of this.
Hindi ko po maintindihan. So sabi nyo nga po, Iba-iba.
Yung mga nanggagaling
Mga
po.
profile. Iba-iba
Opo.
syempre yan. Workers, farmers, students,
Yes. Opo.
etc. So,
Opo.
kaya lang may kanya-kanya po silang destinasyon.
That's
dito sa
right,
Metro
that's
Manila.
right po.
Yung pinakatanong ko po, napakasimpleng tanong, ano na ngayon ang sasakyan nila?
That's right.
Papunta
Yun,
sa
yun din po
destinasyon.
ang
Yung
tanong namin.
pinaka-impact.
Yun din
Sa
po ang
susunod.
tanong namin. So, doble po ang pamasahe at hindi rin po sila i-accommodate doon sa commuter buses ng metro. Dahil usually po, hanggat maaari, ayaw nilang magsakay ng mga kaing, ng mga bayong, at ng mga sako.
So, Ms. Elvie, ang sinasabi ninyo, yung provincial buses, pwede magsakay ng mga ganon.
Opo.
Pero sa connecting dito sa Metro Manila,
Mahihirapan
hindi
po
na
sila.
pwede.
Opo.
So, anong ginagawa nila ngayon? Sa jeep sila sumasakay?
Opo.
So,
At
dapat
saka,
meron din access ang jeep dito sa intermodal. Ang sinasabi natin siguro na pwedeng solusyon.
ang ginagawa po nila ngayon, nag-aarkila sila ng taxi o kaya ng UV Express. Nilalagay po, binabayaran yung 4 na upuan sa likod ng UV Express. Kaya lumalaki po yung cost ng kanilang travel.
Maganda na, it's good that you were able to raise this issue, lalong-lalo na sa mga magsasaka natin, at saka yung mga small to medium enterprise owners na kailangan magbiyahe ng mga bagay-bagay. Kaya nga, dapat dun sa intermodal, kasama rin ang mga jeep. Ngayon ba kasama? Hindi kayo kasama? Ma'am, go ahead please. Please state your name again, ma'am. Ms. Zenaida.
Pasensya na po sa DOTC pagkat alam ko bago kayong lahat ngayon na ano. Kasi po, ang makikita po namin dito, yung tanong nyo, tinatanggal nga po kami. Example ko po sa inyo, ang EDSA sa Muñoz Monumento. Meron po kaming unit dyan, may franchise kami dyan, hanggang Muñoz lamang. Pero matagal na po kami sinasabihan na tatanggalin po nila kami, na ang sinasabi po namin doon sa previous administration ng mga nakaupo, sinasabi namin, tatanggalin nyo kami, saan nyo na kami dadalhin? Paano yung mga pasahero na hindi mo pwedeng sumakay ng MRT dahil ang bababaan ho nila ay merong sukat ng lugar ng bababaan nila at ang mga bus ho na bumibiyahe dyan, hindi po isasakay ang isang mananakay na may dala pong kahon ng isda o ng baboy ng sa aircon jeep. Hindi po talaga isasakayan. Kaya sabi namin, bakit nyo kami tatanggalin? Dapat i-maintain na lang nila ang bilang sa amin. Ay naka-maintain naman po kami. Kung meron man pong sumobra ngayon na tumalon sa Trinoma, sa kasalukuyan po, sa Trinoma SM, may tumalon ho, wala hong mga prangkisa ho yan, out of line na naman po sila, hindi naman po hinuhuli ng mga importer, at para makatakbo, kasi po, ako po diretsa, katakot-takot po talaga ang lagayan. Kaya nga po, kung tatanungin ninyo kami, napakakawawa ko namin, makapagtanong na po ako, wag po kayong magagalit sa akin. Bakit po ba kaming na public service na nagsisilbi sa mamamayan ang siyang pinupuntirya na tama naman nung ayusin kami? Pero bakit hindi ninyo tignan katulad sa EDSA natin magmula sa Baclaran hanggang dito sa North na na puro private car ho ang nakikita nyong tumatakbo ho dyan na hindi naman ho na may kosto ng traffic na hindi naman ho kami. Kumbaga, nakakatingit lang po kami.
Naiintindihan ko po yung sinasabi niyo, 22% nga lang daw ng dumalakbay sa EDSA ay public vehicles. The rest ay talagang private na. Pero bago meron tatanungin si Senator Pacquiao na konektado, pero ito lang matatanong ko sa inyo. Sino pong nilalagyan? Mga pulis?
In fairness naman ho sa pulis, ang kadalasan ho dyan, yung mga enforcer ng local government. Kasi ako nga po, suggest ko sa inyo, kung katulad nito, pinag-uusapan na natin na ikaayos namin. Salamat naman kung talagang maaayos. Pero dapat po, ugnayan ng nasyonal at ugnayan ng local government. Kasi po, may batas po ang nasyonal, pero iba naman mo ang ginagawang batas ng lokal.
Tama po. Actually, ma'am, yan yung sinasabi ni Secretary Tugade na may Central Traffic Management Agency. So, okay na po yun. Maraming salamat. Mag-uusap tayo. Sana isama din po ninyo ang grupo nila sa inyong pag-uusap dito sa mga magiging terminal?
In fairness naman po sa DOTC, sa pulpo ng umupo itong administrasyon natin na kay Presidente Duterte, talagang sinimulan po, natutuwa naman po kami. Ang dalangin ko na nga lamang dito ay sana'y magkatotoo. Pagkat sa mga proposal na hinihingi ninyo, ay matagal na po, sa panig po ng jeepney, marami na po kaming binigyan ng proposal sa ikaayos ng daloy ng trapiko. At pati nga po yung pagpapalit namin ng sasakyan, pagkat kami po parati ang sinisisi sa panig ng jeepney na kami daw ang perhisyo. Matagal na po namin sinasabi na there must be a modernization, at pagdating sa super, na excuse me po sa word, talaga naman nung maraming super na irresponsable na nakakuha ng lisensya na hindi talaga nag-aral sa
Okay, ma'am, maraming salamat po. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Senator Villanueva. Sinasadya ko yun. Senator Pacquiao is recognized.
Thank you,
for a quick question.
Kala ko ako lang magkakamali.
Siya sinasadya, ikaw hindi.
Ma'am Sinaida, hindi po kayo nagagalit, ha?
Hindi po. Pasensya na po, Senator. Medyo, ewan ko ba, pinanganak po yata akong ganito.
Okay lang po yun, okay lang po yun. I just want to clarify na hindi kayo nagagalit. Okay, kaya po kayo nandito, kaya pinatawag itong mga kawani ng ating gobyerno para pag-usapan yung problema natin sa traffic, para ayusin yung mga problema. Alam ko po yung mga hinaing ng mga jeepney drivers natin, yung mga maliliit, inaayos po natin yung ang problema dito, no? Marami din naman, tanggapin din natin na marami din naman mga jeepney drivers na lumalabag sa batas, humihinto lang kahit na hindi sa tamang sakayan o ano. So, kailangan talaga dito is disiplina sa bawat isa. Ang pagbabago magsisimula sa bawat isa, sa bawat tao. So, kailangan din natin yan na kasi unfair naman doon sa mga bases natin din. So, pero ang gusto ko lang malaman doon sa DOT, ilan yung bases na nandito na sa Maynila na bumabiyahe araw-araw? Yung nandito na, kasi yung mga provincial buses na pumapasok dito sa Maynila is 8,640. Gusto ko malaman yung mga buses nandito sa Maynila na dito na
Madam Chair, kung ang pagbabasihan po natin ay traffic count, yun po kaya yun. Ang base po dito sa datos ng MMDA sa EDSA ay ito po ay nasa 14,384.
Ilan po? Ilan po?
Ang araw-araw po na dumadaan sa EDSA ay 14,384.
14,000 po?
Buses. Yes, sir.
Hindi po kasali yung mga provincial buses yan.
Kasama na po.
Kasama na. Kasama. Ilan po yung nandito lang? Yung aside from 8,400, 8,640. Yung nandito, pinanganak, sabi ni...
Okay, while you're looking for the data, I would just like to give a reminder. Since I allowed a few of our senators to speak, I will also grant you the courtesy, Senator Lisa. But after that, we will have to strictly try to allow everybody to make their presentations, and then we will ask our questions. I just ask that, as chair, if we have like a quick clarification that I can interject in between. Thank you. Ma'am, are you ready with your response?
Yun pong sinasabi kanina, ito po yung dami ng paggamit ng EDSA. Pero yun lang pong city buses, nasa 4,800 city buses.
4,000?
Franchise along EDSA.
800 po?
Opo.
So, ano?
Pwede po silang bumabiyahe ng 2-3 beses.
Opo.
Kaya po.
Hindi po ba natin ma-regulate yan na yung mga kasi ito na lang itong 4,800 enough na siguro ito para pumasok yung mga pasahero dito sa Metro Manila area, at yung mga provincial buses yung 8,640 dito na lang sila sa bungad ng Metro Manila para hindi na sila makapag-cause ng traffic, especially sa area.
Madam Chair, yun nga po ang plano. Yun pong sa city, within city bounds lang po sila, iikot. Yung pong mga provincial buses, hanggang doon lang po sila sa terminal. Parang yung pong mag-e-end po yung ibang buses doon sa terminal para kunin nila yung mga galing probinsya na gusto pang magbiyahe paloob o kung saan man sa loob ng Metro Manila.
Kasi ito po ang nakikita ko sa EDSA na dumadaan. May mga buses, ang dami. May mga jeepney din na dumadaan. Hindi lang jeepney, may mga single, mga motorcycle nga eh. Ewan ko kung pasahero yun o habal-habal yun ang tinatawag nila. Alam mo yung may pasahero, isa-isahan lang. Hindi ko alam kung para sa akin, yung mga jeepney siguro, i-regulate natin yan na hindi na siguro din sa dumadaan sa EDSA. Yung mga buses na lang siguro, para sa akin, yung mga buses na lang siguro, na yung itong 4,800 buses dito around Metro Manila, sila na lang siguro ang allowed na dumaan sa EDSA para maiwasan, mabawasan na yung problema sa traffic. Hindi nabanggit nyo po kanina yung problema natin sa traffic ko, yung pag-establish nyo ng terminals. 3 years pa po yan. Tama po ba? Sabi nyo 3 years pa bago
2018 po yung sa South at saka Southwest. Yung pong sa North medyo matatagalan dahil under feasibility study. Later part of 2019
so kung matatagalan po, matatagalan pa rin po yung problema dito sa traffic ngayon, yung lahat ng araw-araw na pagsakripisyo ng ating mga mamamayan. 3 years din po sila maghihintay.
Kaya nga po sa ngayon po, ang isang tinitingnan na solusyon ay yung enforcement. Kaya po magkakameron din sa emergency power na pagtatayo ng isang single authority para mag-manage ng traffic.
Thank you. Maybe we should go ahead and wrap up with Senator Manny. Do you have one last question perhaps?
Okay po. Gusto kong maitanong lang po yung chairman po ako ng Public Works, yung programa ng DOT, yung LRT1 papuntang Cavite ba yun? May road right of way na po kayo sa project ninyo. Ano na pong development ng project ninyo papunta doon?
Maraming salamat po sa tanong, Senator. Patuloy po yung pag-acquire namin ng right of way. Ang sabi ko nga po yung right of way ng LRT1, nauna na po yan, matagal na pong tinatrabaho, kailangan lang po namin talaga madaliin para makumpleto. Ngayon po sa mga ibang mga linya, yun po talaga kakailangan po namin yung tulong ng Senado sa pamagitan ng emergency powers para mapabilis po namin yung pag-acquire. Kasi minsan po talaga kailangan yung pangmatagalan yung bili po natin ng mga right of way dahil ang tren po hindi lang po yung dinadaanan ng tren kung saan po paparada yung tren, yung tinatawag po na depot, at doon po talaga namin kailangan bumili ng mas malaking mga lupa para sa tren.
Okay,
po, last question na po, Madam Chair. Direct to the point, ilang taon bago nyo ma-implement, ilang taon bago matapos? Gusto kong malaman po para may assurance naman yung mga taong bayan natin na umaasa ngayon na ma-resolve na yung isa rin ito makakatulong sa problema sa trapiko.
Very quickly po. Sa ngayon, marami na pong mga linya ng tren na napag-aralan na. Nandun po meron na po tayong line 1, line 2, line 3. Ang napag-aralan na po yung line 4, yung tinatawag po namin line 5, yung subway na nagko-connecta sa mga business districts. Meron po tayong line 6, papuntang Dasmariñas.
Gaano po katagal yan? Gaano katagal ba?
Ang sisikapin po namin sa loob po ng administrasyon ni Presidente Duterte, maumpisahan at matatapos at least yung ibang phases nito mga projects nito. Pero ang trend po...
Ano lang po, kung bigyan mo niyo lang po kami ng rough estimate ng taon, pag-start ng project, ilang taon bago matapos yan?
Ang mga pag-start po ng bidding hanggang completion mga first phase, siguro mga 4 na taon po yan ang train system.
4 na taon.
Senator Pacquiao, actually, hiningan po natin sila ng detalyadong plano kung ano mga gusto nila at kailan matatapos. So we will, dahil kayo po yung chairman ng Public Works dito, kailangan alam din ninyo yung parte ng gobyerno para maibigay itong mga proyekto na ito.
Madam Chair, that brings me to my parliamentary inquiry.
Okay.
Just administrative matters. Madam Chair, I remember during the last hearing, we asked for some data, several data. As I was listening a while ago with Senator Drilon, this representation also asked whether...
They just submitted this morning, so we will furnish your office a copy. Thank you for reminding us.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, the Chair recognizes Senator Risa for your quick question so that we can continue with the presentation. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Cognizant of the reminder of the Chair, I'll reserve my substantive questions for the question round. Pero gusto ko lang at this point i-flag, leading up to those questions, at i-appreciate yung mga puntong nilabas ni Ms. Medina at ni Chair din. The point that partly yung traffic situation natin is also a result of the progress sa ating low-cost housing programs. So pagbibigay din, Madam Chair, na yung pag-resolve natin sa ating traffic problems are also related to the decentralization of our housing and our employment hubs. Yung pagbibigay pansin din sa mga maliliit na magsasaka natin. In the first hearing, I was very glad na bring up yung resettlement issue kaugnay ng procurement process, ng right-of-way sa train tracks. Then, Madam Chair, Secretary Tugadi assured that the President's promise of no demolition without relocation will be followed and that the housing sector will be invited to the next hearing to discuss this point. I don't know if the old Bantay Riles Network is here. And lastly, Madam Chair, just to bring into our discussion yung magandang konsepto in privileged speech kahapon ni Senator Migs Zubiri, concept ng what he called inclusive mobility, na yung isang bahagi ng definisyong iyon ay yung provision of mobility, access to mobility, especially of the poor and the vulnerable. So yung mga batayang sektor na binanggit kanina na makakasama, basic sectors who are majority users of a mass public transport system. Salamat, Madam Chair.
Thank you for raising those points, Senator Risa. We will continue with our presentation. I would like to skip from the bus sector to Ms. Elvira Medina, National President of the Commuter Safety Protection, for your 5-minute presentation, ma'am, very quickly.
Okay, our organization's main objective, kaligtasan sa lansangan, karagatan at paliparan. At this point in time, we will deal on the present situations that we have. First slide, please. The situation is out of the people who utilize travel in EDSA, 80% are commuters and 20% are motorists. These are private motorists. In the allocation of resources, however, out of the 5 lanes northbound and 5 lanes southbound, public utility vehicles are allowed only 4 lanes. This is 2 northward and 2 southward. This means 40% are allocated to commuters and 60% to private motorists. Next slide, please. So this is the graphic representation. We have 80 for the private riders and 80% for the public. However, in the road share, they have 60%, and we have 40% for the public. If you are going to make a count, this would translate to, per row, you have 48 passengers on one side and 900 passengers on the second side. Next slide, please. Our recommendation is, with the relief of the traffic attained by the HPG, at least in the first week that they were given EDSA after the APEC, it is now recommended that the third lane be converted into a blue lane where non-stop public vehicles, specialized vehicles can run. These are public vehicles that do not need to pick up passengers along the lanes, along EDSA, such as boarded taxis, UV Express, provincial buses, school buses, ambulances. You will notice that when the two lanes, the two yellow lanes were segregated by barriers, there was really movement inside the yellow lanes. So there were private motorists that tried to use the same lane. However, the HPG was able to move them out. So even if I experienced this traveling during peak hours along EDSA, the yellow lane is moving, we are stuck. The private vehicles are stuck. On Sundays, when very few private motorists fly, there's hardly difficulty in EDSA. Take note that the number coded are not even enforced on Saturdays and Sundays. Next slide, please. Okay, the situation. The government has paying consultants 1 million pesos per day. Up to this minute, no real solution has been attained. Most of the studies were even not presented to the public who have paid for them. None of the stakeholders were ever consulted. Next slide, please. Our recommendation that the Philippine Public Consultative Council be established. This will ensure stable communication mechanism between the stakeholders and the government. It will ensure that stakeholders will co-recognize the ownership of the policies and guidelines, therefore making its expedient execution. Next slide, please. The next situation is the past administration have implemented what is called the PPP, or Private-Public Partnership. The projects were prioritized for partnership with either foreign investments or local businessmen. It had underestimated the capacity of the stakeholders who have been in the transport industry for decades. I would like to point this at this time. We have bus companies that have been in the business for 75 years, 70 years, and I don't think any college degree can ever take that credit from them. Next, please. Okay, we recommend that there should be a stakeholders-government partnership. Most stakeholders in the transport industry have the financial, managerial, and even conceptual capability of setting up an intelligent transport system. Next slide, please. Finally, for the emergency power, we'd like to recommend an oversight committee to assist the secretary. The committee shall be composed of one from the Senate, one from the House of Representatives, one from the Department of Transportation, stakeholders, and concerned public sectors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Elsie.
Actually, this last slide, actually, we wanted to discuss the BRT. I will just submit this to the chair so that they can make a further study. This will show you the benefits of the MRT2 or LRT2 versus the BRT. This is courtesy of Mr. James Mangonon, our colleague from the Public Transport Center. Thank you very much.
Ms. LV, that will really help. Let's submit that to the DOT as well as to our committee.
Yes,
and
please.
I would like to reiterate to Yusek Lontok to please get these different groups together in your planning stages now. But for the next presentations, I would like to remind you, you don't really need to give too much data already that was mentioned about the number of private vehicles, so on and so forth. Go to the heart of the matter. What do you need? What do you want? You don't even have to show your PowerPoint anymore if you don't need to, because right now I'm reducing it to 8, so it's about 40 minutes. If you strictly follow the 5 minutes so we can ask your questions. Next is June Magno, Stop and Go, UV Express.
Good morning, Madam Chair and the honorable members of this committee. June Magno, President of Stop and Go Transport Coalition. represent ko po ngayon ng UB Express. Madam Chair, hindi ko na po ulitin yung sinabi nating kasamang Madam Elvira. Alam po natin na ang EDSA po ay talaga pong ito pong private talaga ang nagpapasikip. Nadagdagan po ito ng 35,000 sa record po ng LTFRB ng TNBS. Ito pong TNBS 24/7 po nasa kalsada yan.
Ano po yung TNBS muli?
Ito po yung TNC and Uber, Grab and UHAB. I'm sorry, hindi ko sana babanggitin yung pangalan. But yun po ito yung Uber at Grab, no? They're flying the state without legitimate franchise. Well, ang provisional authority nila ginagamit nila since 2014. Nung kami po yung mag-create dito, 2015, sorry. Ito po yung nasa 3,000 pa lang. Nung first hearing namin, nung kami po yung nag-file ng TRO sa korte, first hearing namin 6,000 agad in 1 month. Sumunod po ngayon, nung pang-apat na hearing po namin, that is 22,000. Ngayon po, sa record po is 35,000. Ito po ay wala po itong franchise. Malinaw po ito sa department order na inilabas ng DOTC that time under the Secretary Abaya and then Chairman Hines. Ito malinaw po doon sa last paragraph ng kanilang department order na kailangan po rito ay mayroong legislative franchise. Ngayon po, dire-diretso po sila. Unlike po ng UB Express. Ang UB Express po, recently, LTFRB issued memorandum circular disallowing UB Express to traverse EDSA na nagpahirap po sa mga pasahero namin. Lalo na po ang mga senior citizen. Hindi na po makakakit ng footbridge. Napilit na po mag-taxi. Napakarami namin complaint na nakuha sa mga pasahero. Ito po yung hindi ka po kinonsulta ng LTFRB basta na naglabas po ng isang MC, hindi kami pinapayagan. 0.1% lang po kami sa EDSA. Napakaliit po ng aming persento para po sa traffic. Kami po hindi nakakasagabal. Ang mode of transport po namin, we can traverse the shortest and convenient. Kasi nga po, yung pasahero namin, kailangan ihatid namin sa kanilang destination na convenient at hindi natatraffic. Kaya nga po express. Yun po yung prinsipyo ng UB Express nung ito po ay ginawa noong 2001. Ang isa ngayon po, kami po ang pinahihirapan. Marami po sa amin, may demand po, pero ayaw kami bigyan ng prangkisa. Dumami po rito yung napakadaming kolorum. Bakit po may kolorum? Meron po demand. Sorry to say, noong 2010 po kasi nagsimula ito. Nung kami po, binigyan po ng franchise noong 2007, marami pong na-pending ito sa LTFRB. Pagdating po ng bagong administrasyon, the previous, ito po hinod lahat. Kahit po yun na nagkaroon na ng decision, everything, hinod lahat. Ibinalik po sa DOTC, sabi nila, for evaluation, inventory, for 6 years. Wala pong nangyari. Kaya po ngayon, yung po mga tao, mga operators, stakeholders, na bumili po ng sasakyan, nangutang sa bangko, wala pong monthly amortization dahil wala pong hanap buhay, pumasok po sa kolorum. Ang ginawa po ng ating DOTC that time, yung pong 1,500 na multa ng kolorum, ginawa pong 6,000. Sa isip nila, mawawala ang kolorum. Hindi po nangyari yan. Noong 2014, naglabas po ng Joint Administrative Order na nagkaroon po ng very oppressive na penalty. Yung pong 1,200,000, 120,000 at 50,000. Doon po sa, depende po sa mode of transport. Ang naging problema po, hindi po nawala ang kolorum. Ito po yung na-organize, naging systematic, dahil mas malaki po ang bribe. Mas malaki po ngayon ang inaalok, mas naging systematic po ngayon ang pagkuha ng bribe, kaya ang kolorum po laganap. Ang aming kahilingan, Madam Chair, for 1 minute, sana po, tingnan po natin. Ang private po, ang sanang mabawasan natin. I'm sorry, kailangan po ang mawasan to dahil ang mass transport po ang mas kailangan natin. Napakaliit lang po ng porsyento ng public transport sa EDSA. 20%.
sir.
Ang sinasakay po namin 80%.
I understand, sir. Teka muna. So, ang sinasabi niyo may lagayan pa rin ngayon?
Meron po.
Saan po?
Nagana po yan.
So,
Kasi,
sino nga nilalagyan?
ano po yan? Alam po ng enforcer na po pwede pong pakiusapan ng mga namamasada.
Meron, alam ko, kabuhayan ninyo yan, pero meron na tayong, dapat merong hotline na nga ng pagre-reklamo dyan, di ba? So, ganito po ang hinihiling ko sa inyo. I-submit po ninyo yung position paper, bullet points po para madaling maintindihan. No, ano ang mga kailangan ninyo sa UV Express? Ano ang mga nagiging problema? Bigyan niyo po kami ng kopya, bigyan din po ninyo ng DOT, at dapat kasama rin po sila sa inyong pag-uusap.
Actually, Madam Chair, na-submit ko na po sa office niyo po.
Yun na yun? Wala na kayong idadagdag?
May dadagdag pa po kami doon. Kaya lang po, akala ko mahaba na.
Oo nga, hindi. Pero kung ano pang idadagdag ninyo, kasi nga ngayon, pinapasama ko na po kayo sa mga usapin nila. Kaya nga kung ano pang gusto ninyong idagdag doon.
Madam Chair, just to clarify lang, kasi nakakapanting yung lagayan na sinabi nyo, hanggang ngayon ba open ang franchising? Di po ba for a period of time lang po yan? Please, yung franchising po, doon sa colorum, pero doon sa franchising, hindi naman po.
Ang colorum po, pag sabi natin colorum, wala po itong franchise.
Alam po.
So yung pong, amin po franchise po, good po
Yung sinabi niyo po kasi kanina, may tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang lagayan. Sa colorum lang po yun.
Yes.
Hindi naman po dun sa...
Hindi naman po dun sa mga ano.
Nakakaya, naman dun sa iba.
Yes,
thank you.
Okay, thank you, Senator Joel. Our next presenter is Rosar Crisostemo, Bicycle Friendly Philippines. Sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning po. Maraming salamat po sa pagkakataong ito na ang mga tinatawag na nasa laylayan ng hindi lipunan kundi ng kalsada o daan ay mabibigyan ng pagkakataong mapakinggan dito sa mataas na kapulungan ng Senado. Alam po ninyo, kami mag-asawa ay bahagi ng maraming grupo na kumikilos na para magkaroon ng mga batas na pabor sa mga siklista. Kung mamarapatin po ninyo, babagitin ko ang ilang mga LGUs. Nasa larangan po kami ng LGUs, Quezon City, Antipolo, meron din po sa Iloilo, no? At marami na po kaming naitulong sana sa larangan ng batas. Meron na silang mga bike parking ordinances. Meron din silang mga plano na para sa mga bike lanes. Ang pangunahin po dito ay ang Marikina na merong network na ng bike lanes. So dito diretso na po ako sa yung mga kahilingan, no? Naming mga siklista. Pag sinabi ko pong siklista, ang pangunahing naisip ko po ay yung mga tao na sumasakay ng bisikleta papunta sa kanilang trabaho, papunta sa kanilang destinasyon. No? Hindi ko po masyadong sinasali rito yung mga recreational riders, yung mga weekend riders. No? Pero sige, sali na rin natin sila. Kung tanong ko po muna kayo, ilan po sa inyo rito ang nagbibisikleta sa kalsada? Pakitaas po ang kamay. Yeah. Bakit po hindi kayo nagbibisikleta sa kalsada? Kami po mag-asawa galing ngayong araw na ito ng Antipolo, nagbisikleta kami papunta rito. Marami pong dahilan. Ito po ang ilan. Basahin ko na lang po sa inyo. Mapanganib po ang kalsada. Marami na po tayong nabalitaan na napinsala o namatay dahil sa ating kalsada, mga siklista. Ikalawa, walang magandang paradahan ng bisikleta. Naghanap po kami ng paradahan ng bisikleta dito sa Senado, wala po kami nakita. Kaya doon po kami sa railing, doon sa labas doon kami nagparada ng bisikleta. Sa ilalim ng ulan at araw. Walang lugar para magpalit ng damit o magpunas man lang, bimpo, maligo, yung mga bike to work. So papasok sila, pawis-pawis. Sana meron tayong lugar sa mga opisina na makapagpalit sila at magpag-pogi, magpagandang lalaki o babae. Mainit o maulang panahon. Ito po, hindi ko po alam paano natin bibigyan solusyon to. Siguro po, maaga nga alis sa umaga para hindi pa mainit at late uwi sa hapon para hindi gaano mainit. Yung ulan, magsuot ng kapote. Distansya, malayo. Ika-ani, mausok. walang bisikleta. Okay. So ang aming pong hiling ay ganito. Tatlong larangan po, pasensya na kung may. Una, infrastruktura. Para po maging ligtas, hindi pa pangalimang kalsada, maglagay po sana tayo ng konektado, hindi po yung putol-putol, ng mga protected or dedicated bike lanes. Ikalawa, para po dun sa walang paradahan, magkaroon po sana tayo ng batas sa national na level na lahat ng establishmento, pribado man o pampubliko, lalo na yung mga lugar na pinupuntahan ng maraming tao, mga publikong opisina ng gobyerno, City Hall, Senado, no? Magkaroon ng paradahan ng bisikleta. Marami po sa akin sasabi na hindi ako nagbibisikleta kasi hindi ko lang kung saan paparada yung bisikleta pagpunta ko sa opisina. Ikatlo ay magkaroon ng insentibo para sa mga nagbibisikleta na meron silang lugar na kapag papalitan ng damit, gusto maligo. Ikaapat, sana magkaroon ng rampa yung mga footbridges. Kami po, binubuhat namin yung bisikleta namin pag kami tatawid ng kalsada. Kami mag-asawa, isa kami. Sana merong rampa. Last 1 minute. At underpasses. Ikalima, pasilidad para sa bimodal, multimodal, or intermodal. Kung gusto po nating bawasan ang mga private cars sa kalsada, kailangan po nating bigyan ng magandang opsyon ang mga marami ditong nagbibisikleta na makapagbisikleta. Naniniwala pa ko sa prinsipyo na more bikes